Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emanuel, I'm a 737 pilot and a member of PMDG's tech team. Today let's do another flight in Finland. On my last live stream we made it all the way to Rovaniemi. Now today we are gonna do almost the same thing, because we will actually fly the 737-700 once again. And we're gonna fly it in between Helsinki, where there is currently an exciting online event about to start in 30 minutes, and of course we will take it up to Rovaniemi and finally back towards Helsinki. So that is the plan for the day. Let's have a look into the operational flight plan. Once again, the weather promises quite some exciting conditions operating in low temperatures, as we can see up here. By the way, do ignore that incorrect picture of the aircraft up there. That is, well... So, 737-700 today, and as we can see I chose one of the more special liveries. I chose the Ryanair Santa Claus livery, and I'll just actually let the livery speak for itself. Quick look into the flight plan then, and our forecast takes us towards Rovaniemi, where there are currently light snow showers, temperature minus 16 degrees centigrade. And our alternate Kittilä is also giving us some light showers of snow. Visibility 2,700 meters, minus 21 degrees centigrade. So overall, quite some cold conditions up in the high north, but we are used to that, aren't we? Okay, Helsinki itself, minus 16 degrees, CAF okay, and over midnight we are gonna get some hard IMC up there, but we'll be back long before that even starts. So that's pretty much the look. Due to the snow showers that are forecast, I'm going to take half an hour of extra fuel in case we have to pick up a holding due to some snow clearing. So half an hour more. They say is 900 kilos up there, so let's take that, which makes the total amount of fuel of 6 tons for our departure towards Rovaniemi. So that's our fuel decision done. So let's head over into the aircraft and we go flying straight away. Well, it's a little bit dark in here, so let's use that flashlight to get the airplane powered up. Here we go, that's better. So, here we are, and I don't know why they still put that squawk in. Well. So, the original aircraft that we are flying today was a Boeing 737-200 that carried this livery and this registration. We are going to do it in a 700 today, and I do feel that it's been quite a long while since we flew the 700. Actually, any other 737 than just the 800 on the channel. That's the reason why I chose to opt for this aircraft and this livery today. So, fire check is complete. Before we do anything else, let's get that APU up, because it is freezing in here. Just look at those temperatures, currently 16, and they are still going down. Outside area is clear, hydraulic pumps on, logo light, wheel well light, then our colleague can start the walk around. Okay. And that's pretty much the safety inspection complete. Let's dim those displays down. We'll definitely not need them all the way up, because unfortunately due to the current time of the year over in Helsinki, it is gonna be night time for the entire flight. But nonetheless, thinking back to our initial flight to Helsinki on the Fly and See Santa event, those can actually be some quite awesome views in nighttime over there in Rovaniemi. Okay, enter IRS position, gonna do that in a second. Just a quick thing for me to check, because I just reinstalled the 700. I do have a feeling that, yep, they did not take over the settings from my 800. Let's quickly go over this, so I can show you what I'm using here as well in the simulation settings. Page 1, service-based failures, engine use last oil are of course on, synchronize captain and first officer ethers. Don't synchronize the standby instrument because that is used separately. IRS option set to realistic. That localizer course? Well, no. Realistic engagement, yes. Show thrust lever position when moving. Manual override in hold and arm mode only, and high idle and flare. Well, I do really find this one to help with the ground effect, so I'm gonna keep that on. So, call out my airspeeds, yes. The only one we don't use is airspeed alive. That's not in use in my airline. V2 not as well. Then I do want manual time compression in case I do accidentally hit that button. And we are gonna use all those inputs. And finally rudder only steering is what I am using at the moment. Last thing to set here in the display options. Here we go, all quantity in liters. I knew there was something that looked odd down here. Now I know what it was, the oil quantity showing more than 18. Okay, so we do have good oil quantity. And look at the hydraulic page, we have good hydraulic quantity as well. Okay, perfect. Then the APU is running, let's time 2 minutes, and after those 2 minutes we can put the air conditioning on, which is something that I am very much missing. And NLN, what scenery am I using for Helsinki? I'm using the MK Studios scenery, which in my opinion definitely is the best scenery available for Helsinki. So, let me also give you guys that little status bar up there. I noticed that quite a lot of you started to like that. Alright, so time to program our FMC, which is going to be fairly quickly today, as we have a rather short route. However, there will be quite some other things to do due to all the cold temperature thingies we have to take care of. Cold temperature thingies. I guess if one of my line training captains would hear that, they would probably freak out. But luckily none of them is here. Okay, so route of flight. By the way, see that? The airport is now finally showing in the 737s when you do enter it on the position in it page. That's a feature that quite a lot of you have really requested, so it's been added. Okay, 47 Victor X-ray. What a call sign. I'm gonna have a hard time remembering that. Then, departure runway, we don't have any ATC online yet. They say 3-3 in here, but I don't really think so. Let's have a quick look into the METAR. Variable 1 knot, okay. Let's make it 2-2 right. I believe that's the standard runway they're normally using in Helsinki, and we're going by a TAFRU departure. So probably going to be TAFRU 3 November then. So, Yankee 7-5, and that's bringing us to Nepix, and from there we are gonna start our approach. So, fairly straightforward for the routing. Runway 21 is planned. Quick look into the weather forecast. And it's 2403, 2408 forecast, okay, so it is gonna be runway 21, probably one of the ILS approaches then. Arrival leads us to Vekip, let's see, Zulu, do we have Vekip? Yes we do. So, ILS Zulu via Vekip is what we plan at the moment. Of course, it does help if you select the correct star as well. So, cost index. Actually, is it 6 today? No, it's cost index 30. And here's the reason why. Up until about 5 years ago, Ryanair actually flew cost index 30. And since we're a little bit tight on our timing for the event, I opted to go for cost index 30 instead. Especially thinking that we are flying in historical livery, so it only seemed fitting for me to actually choose this cost index as well. Okay, so that's pretty much the FMC setup complete as far as we can do it right now. Let's go ahead with the remaining flight deck setup. And Canali, good evening, nice to see you. Metal Eye, you as well. Question, is there actually any operational difference between the Honeywell and the Collins MCP on the 737NG? No, there is not. They are identical. Okay, first things first. We'll put the bleeds on so that our aircraft can start heating up. Because by now it's probably quite cold. Yep, 10 degrees only in the cabin. Let's warm that up a little bit before we start our boarding. Refueling, let's see about that, is still to be completed, okay. In that case, let's just really quickly go over to our ground services. And we're gonna request a fuel truck. We said we wanted 6 tons. And when that guy is here, we can start our boarding as well. We are booked completely full today, 149. Since we are in the 700s, remember that. Okay, it's only 148 in the PMDG. Well, that's unfortunate. And they will have quite a bit of luggage with them as well. So 500 kilos in the front should pretty much do the job. Okay. Why can't we start boarding? I guess the door isn't open yet. Yep. Fuel truck is attaching, so they can start momentarily. In the meantime, we can start our boarding now that we have air conditioning going. Normally, we would of course board while we were waiting for the air conditioning as well. I mean, those people are used to walking around in minus 16 degrees right now, then they can surely take a few moments sitting in an aircraft that still needs to heat up as well. Okay, start the refueling. So, onto the overhead panel. Why do we have those overwing exit lights illuminated? Let's try to fix that. As always, if those lights are illuminated, just put the thrust levers forward and backwards again, and that normally fixes it. For some reason that I don't quite understand, PMDG does seem to believe this is a problem with the real aircraft, but it's not. It's just not. We're doing this takeoff config test all the time, and it works pretty well without causing any of these issues that we do see in here. So, I don't really know why PMDG is doing this. Anyway, let's go ahead over here, and let's pretend we do have engineering available. I think he's a big airport after all. Initial climb, we'll have to see what we're actually going to get there. Runway heading, let's just set it to runway 22 that we've planned at the moment. And fuel flow, reset. Auto brakes to RTO, and all quantities are looking good. We'll see about the frequencies. ATC is going to be online for our departure, but there's nobody quite yet, so we'll just stand by on that. Actually, I just see a tower did just come online. Expect ILS approach, runway 15, departure runway 2 to left and 2 to right, okay. So probably 2 to right for us as expected, but we'll see about that in a few moments. Okay, frequencies, don't really need anything here. But what we can and should do is to get out some charts to start preparing for the actual flight that we are going to do. So let's bring up Navigraph and have a look. Here we are, and let's synchronize the flight. So, building key, and we probably will need a taxi chart as well. Parking stance, that sounds good to me. We're parking up here, Whiskey 44. And I'm gonna brief the remaining taxi route later on. That is definitely not correct. So let's see, runway in use is going to be 2 to the right for us, and then our departure will be Tavru 3 November. That looks about right. So initial climb clearance, 4,000 feet. Which is pre-selected now. And then Helsinki VOR 14.2. Let's put that active on both sides. Okay, refueling is complete. Fuel truck can release. And the seatbelt sign goes on. Okay, boarding is well on the way. Let's request our loaders. Okay, so that is pretty much all the preparation we will need for this. Almost at least. Let's put our initial climb in here. And I would say for the first turn, let's take a 220 restriction as well. Transition is 5,000 versus 5,001, and that is pretty much the preparation completed. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a departure briefing. Threats for the departure. We do have cold weather operations, and there is quite a bit of snow lying around on the ramps as well, as we can see. So, looking over here, it is quite snowy all around, so I suppose we are treating this as operating in freezing conditions. So, the prop heat is already switched on, and apart from that, fuel is just about 0 degrees as well. So apart from that, we are not going to use any CSFF relief, and finally, we'll see how quick we can taxi the airplane. In any case, we are just going to take it slow to make it match the conditions under which we are going to fly. I would say that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and do a route check then. So, SimToolkit Pro, as always, absolutely love that tool. We're flying from Echo Fox Hotel Kilo towards Echo Fox Romeo Oscar, and we're the Romeo Yankee Romeo 47 Victor X-Ray. Our routing is via Tavru Yankee 75 Nepix and Nepix arrival, and that gives us a ground distance of 410 versus 415, 3.7 remaining. 2.0 required, so plenty of extra fuel, at least 45 minutes. Okay. UTC time 1750, altimeter 1005, reading something in the region of 160 feet. The MFRA is going to be something around 1150. Flight directors are on with the master on my side, standby instruments set. This is going to be a lofty takeoff, runway 2 to right, flaps 5, noise abatement, departure number 2, and the emergencies straight ahead, 25 miles, pick up the hold. Let's see what the MSA is on this one, 2,200, we'll have to correct that, so in any case 3,000 is going to keep us safe. Lofty takeoff, 2 to left as set. And for the emergencies, above 80 knots, I will only reject the takeoff for fire warning, engine failure, predictive wind shear warning, aircraft unable or unsafe to fly. If I call stop, I will simultaneously close the thrust levers and disengage the auto throttle, apply maximum manual braking or verify operation of the RTO auto brakes. Manually raise the speed brake lever, apply maximum reverse thrust, and when the aircraft comes to stop, I will set the parking brake. So, on with the FO's part. If you call stop, I will note the brakes on speed and call speed brakes up or speed brakes not up and thrust wheels normal indications. I call 100 knots, 80 knots, 60 knots and the runway distance remaining. Verify your actions and call any omissions. I will call auto brake disarm and select flap 40 when the parking brake has been set and advise ADC of the reject. We then identify the failure and carry out any drills as appropriate. If we decide to evacuate, we read into the evacuation checklist. Time permits, we'll pull the CBRCB, grab the lid and get out. So, For the taxi, we are parking on Whiskey 44, and we have that up here. Pushback is going to be onto Alpha Tango, and then either via Victor Juliet or Alpha Hotel, I suppose, onto Zulu, all the way via Zulu, Zulu Delta. And let's have a look at the airport chart up here. We continue via Delta. We have the de-icing facilities up here. At the moment, we have no precipitation, so I don't expect de-icing to be necessary. So in case we don't de-ice, we'll just continue via Delta to holding point Whiskey Delta, departure from 2 to right. In case we do need to de-ice, we'll go on to the de-icing facilities up here. Then we have the Tefru 3 November departure, chart 10-3 Delta, effective 23rd of April. In the FMC, let's see what we have over there. Runway 2 to right, Tefru 3 November. Transition altitude 5000 versus 5001. And remain on tower until 1500, then contact Helsinki radar 129.85. At first contact with radar report sit or radar heading given by ATC and level. After takeoff, climb as rapidly as possible to at least 2180 feet. Okay, in other words, it means we have to fly noise abatement departure number 1. Okay, so NADP 1 it is. Initial climb clearance 4000 feet, which we have in here and selected up here as well. And let's talk about the routing. We go straight ahead to 2.5 dme HEL and 680. So in here we have HEL 3 and we can make that higher than 680. And here we go already with the cold temperature corrections. So airport elevation is 180 feet, and if we have a quick look at that, where is it? Here it is. So cold temperature correction for that, we take the minus 20 figures, and we have 400 feet, so let's take 70 feet extra that we are going to add on top. In other words, 680 becomes 750. Or above. Come on. My fingers are too frozen, I can't even type anymore. Here we go, 750 feet or above. From there we continue on 084 track inbound Hotel Kilo 461. That track is not quite accurate here, but the turn pretty much looks like it should. Okay, thereafter it's 290 degrees, 5.5 miles, Hotel Kilo 934. That's in here, and then it is a right-hand turn 003, 28.3 miles. Inbound to Tefru, which we have in here as well. And that's it for our departure calculations. Do you have any questions about this? Probably not then, very good. Okay, let's start GSX to get ready. They always take ages anyway. At the same time, we have our cargo loaded, so these guys can go. Passengers are all on board, very good, so prepare position for pushback and departure. And no, we don't need de-icing on this.
Due to icing conditions, please stand by for engine start until push completed and brake set.
Yeah, stand by, it's gonna be a while. Okay, so for our weight, 51.7 on board versus 51.0 planned. We have plenty of extra fuel, so 700 more is not a problem. Gives me 57.8 as the gross weight. And that is going to be good enough for this one.
Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Okay, let's go ahead with our virtual performance tool to do our takeoff configuration. Here we go, with the beta VPT.
Departure check completed.
And we'll select a new aircraft, which is going to be a 737-700 with winglets. And we have the B-26 engines. Actually, we have the 24 engines with steel brakes under EASA rules. So this is the aircraft we need. We are in Helsinki, and it would help very much if I could type correctly. Runway 2 to right, we'll take intersection Whiskey Kilo. The runway is probably in a good condition. This is definitely going to be a wet runway. So, wind, the most conservative is going to be 060 at 3. Temperature, minus 16. And QNH 1005. Optimum max 5 auto. Yeah, we'll take the engine anti-ice on because there are some chances for contamination on the ground. So we do want to use the anti-ice on this one. Okay, so takeoff weight is 57,800. Calculate. 20k takeoff at 30 degrees. Okay, that's what they say. And we do a 20k. 83.9 was 84.4. No, actually 30 degrees. Still 83.9. That's not quite correct, but why is that? We do have the 24k engines installed as selected up here. So that does not seem correct to me. Temperature minus 16 is also correct. I don't know why this is, but let's just go full 20. Oh, what's that? Okay, this doesn't make sense. That's got to be a bug in the virtual performance tool. Look at that. If we take an assumed temperature of 30 degrees, it gives me 84.4. If we go full 20k, it gives me 83.9, which actually matches the PMDG. So let's get rid of that assumed temperature, and now we do have some matching values at least. Not the prettiest solution, but I guess it works. Plus 5 takeoff, we'll take the trim values right from the aircraft. And the speeds on wet runway 118, 127, 132. Good enough for us today. 132. Here we go. So 6.9 units in the trim, that's good enough for me. And with that, I would say we are fully prepared for our pushback. So let's go ahead and grab our IFR clearance. Helsinki ground, good evening, Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray information Sierra, request startup and clearance to Rovaniemi. Okay, standby is what they say, then standby is what we get. And raw XD, why do we have to take into account the cold weather temperature for the altitude? I'm going to explain that when we're airborne. But I will have a separate tutorial on it very soon. And Ras, I don't think there is another performance tool for free. Oh, are they eventually gonna call us now, or not? Oh, it's on the hour, we're supposed to be pushing. But we're waiting for ATC. Metal Eye, 11.99 donation. Hey firm, it's Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray calling for clearance, and the flight plan is going to be there in 5 seconds as well. We have information Sierra and Whiskey 44. Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, cleared Rovaniemi, runway 2 to right, Tefru 3 November departure, climb 4,000 feet, QNH 1005, squawk 5264. We are ready for pushback and startup. Startup and pushback approved, facing northeast, Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray. Okay, 2 to right, TEF 3 November, climb 4,000 feet, squawk 5264. Then before start. Sorry, safety inspector checklist and before start checklist. Services trucks, checked. Maintenance status, checked. Battery on. Electric hydraulic pumps on. Landing gear lever down. Ship's library checked. IRS mode selectors, nav, gear pins 1 to 3 removed. Flight test checked. Oxygen test 100%. Yaw damper on. Nav transfer display switches, normal and order. Fuel 5 required. 6 on board, 4 pumps on. Cabin utility IFE, galley power on. Emergency exit lights on. Fast modes on. Window heat on. Air conditioning and pressurization. Packs off, bleeds on set. Pressurization mode selector, auto. Instruments, cross-tracked, auto brakes, RTO, hydraulics. Normal, speed brake, down attempt, parking brake set, stop from cutout switches normal. Wheel by fire warning, checked, radius, radar and transponder, set and alt off. Rudder and aileron trims, 3 and 0, takeoff briefing discussed, PA complete, FMC and CDU. Set, M1 and IS box, automatic, full 20k, speeds 19, 27, 32 set. Stop trim, 6.9 set, performance weight balance, sign send, phones off, EFB, airplane mode stowed, flutter windows and cockpit door. Locked, doors closed, passengers seated, before start checklist complete. Oops. Hehe. Here we go. You should connect the APU generator before pulling off the ground power. That definitely helps. Okay, what do we have? Dual FMC ops restored. Hydraulic bead power is probably still building up. Gotta reset that auto brake. And yaw damper on. Quick check out the overhead panel. This is what happens if you're going too fast. And if you don't have proper ground crew asking you if they can disconnect. Because that is always my trigger in real life to actually Okay, we have a CDS fault in amber. That is not good, because that is non-dispatchable. Let's just wait a moment. Normally that stuff clears itself after a little while. So let's just wait for a moment. It is gonna clear itself shortly, I hope. Otherwise we need to call engineering. Let's give it a second. Let's give it a second. And here we go, problem solved. Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, sorry, we had a small technical malfunction, but we are fully ready for pushback now. Is the clearance still valid?
Due to icing conditions,
47 Victor X-ray, roger, push approved, facing north.
Completed and brake set.
Okay, so nose left.
Release parking brakes.
And brake is off.
Commencing push. Due to icing conditions, please stand by for engine start until push completed and brake set.
6 minutes of delay. Yeah, we'll put that on the technical. Okay, and quick trick for those of you who are not using the synchronize option for the EFIS control panels. You can see we on the left side we have our MFRA set, which should be 1080. Sorry, 1180 by the way. So now we have our MFRA set on the left side, but on the right side we now have it as well because we changed something here. But in case you would not have it on the right side, you could just use the control panel here, set it to either both on 1 or both on 2, depending on from where you want to copy, and then just go back to normal. And then you're basically copying your settings from the left displays to the right displays or the other way around. Okay, so I would say we're clear of the aprons. Let's start engine number 2. Let's see if the oil pressure is going to react correctly, because in the real one the oil pressure would really be rising rapidly during the engine start due to the very low temperatures we have outside. So we have N2, oil pressure, N1 rotation, 25%. All valves operating.
Do you have your clearance?
Set parking brakes.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Finnair 617, roger. Start up a Pushback approved. Based in northeast, CNH 1004.
Okay, so good start on number 2. Start a cutout. Let's start number 1 and we'll isolate a pack so that the right side can already start warming the cabin up again. Starting engine number 1.
Unlocking gear.
And I'm going to answer all those questions that are currently coming in as soon as we are in the air. Let's see, temperature is now 26. Let's tone that down a little bit. The people will probably have some rather warm clothing on. So we definitely don't want the cabin to get too warm there.
Bypass pin removed.
Okay, N2, oil pressure, N1,
Left is
25%.
clear. Right is clear.
Fuel on. Watch the valves moving. By the way, it looks like the rise in the oil pressure due to the cold engine is not simulated. The real one would easily go up to like 60 or something, sometimes even to the very top of the scale, and only then would slowly come back after the engine start. That is because the oil isn't so vicious just after the engine started when it's so cold outside. And at minus 16 degrees we should see a very strong effect of that, but looks like it's not simulated. Or in other words, right after this live stream it is gonna go in the bug tracker. Start a cutout, monitor number 1. We have roughly 2, 4, 6, 3, and that is a good start on engine number 1. So GSX, clear disconnect, clear signal on the right hand side with a pin, and have a good day. So we said we do want to use anti-ice for the departure. Flaps 5. And flight control check. Full up, full down, neutral, left, right, neutral, and the rudders, left, right, neutral after start checklist. Generators on, APU off, start switches continuous, probe bead on, anti-ice on, air conditioning, packs auto, bleeds on, isolation valve, auto, flaps. 5 required, 5 selected, and the green light. Step trim, 6.9 units set. Performance, start leaders idly turned, flight controls checked, recall checked, before taxi checklist complete. Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, request taxi.
Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, text on point. Zulu Golf, fly up, Sir Hotel and Zulu, offshore runway.
Ryanair 2, correction, 47 Victor X-ray, taxi holding point runway 22 left initially via Zulu Golf, Victor Hotel and Zulu. Okay, so quick look into where that means we are going. So, initially we have to proceed on Alpha Tango, and then Zulu Golf is up here via Victor Hotel and Zulu. There is Victor Hotel. Zulu, over here. Okay, so first left. First right, second left, hold short of the runway. Okay. Brake released, config. And we are clear on the left, clear on the right. Straight ahead to the first exit. Oh, that's Alpha Tango, and that turns into Victor Hotel. It's a little contaminated here. Let's take that a little bit slower. Okay, that's the sign for Victor Hotel up there. And this is definitely a contaminated surface. Let's take it slow. In the meantime, we dim those displays a little bit more. Okay. Clear on the left, clear on the right.
Victor X-ray, contact tower now 118.
118.6, Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, bye-bye. Okay, that's an early handoff, I do like that, so... Helsinki Tower, good evening, Ryanair 47 Victor Hotel, correction Victor X-ray, taxi, holding point, Hotel Zulu.
Correction up. Hold short.
Hold short, Zulu Golf, runway 2 to left, Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray. Okay, so Zulu Golf is right here.
Victor X-ray. Via cross runway. Left taxi.
By Zulu Golf, cross runway 2 to left, taxi, holding point, Whiskey Golf, Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray. Okay, so clear on the left, that guy over there seems to be a departure. Clear on the right, confirm readback. Clear to cross runway 2 to left. Okay then, quick look into the taxi chart to see where we will be going. We're crossing the runway over here in Zulu Golf. And then you set taxi holding point Whiskey Golf, so straight out all the way via Golf. And then we're already at the holding point. Looks like a fairly easy taxi to me. Just gotta be sure not to take it too quick, so... The area over here seems quite okay. Our main gears should be tracking inside this little snow there. Let's see if they actually do. Hard to see, but I would say just about. Okay, before takeoff, checklist down to the line. Config, checked, flaps. 5, green light, step trim. 7 units, or 6.9 units, set. Takeoff briefing. Left sea takeoff runway 2 to right, flaps 5, noise abatement number 1, you said. Contact departure when passing 1,500 feet, and the sit itself is going to take us straight ahead to 3 miles from Helsinki VOR, above 750 feet. Then a right-hand turn inbound, waypoint 461, climbing to 4,000 feet. Emergencies, anything, we go straight ahead 25 miles and climb to an altitude of 4,000, that is going to keep us safe as well. Any questions? No, okay. Then cabin. Secure before takeoff check is complete. This is a little bit more contaminated with snow now. Let's not go any faster than this. It must be really interesting to be based in one of these airports where in the winter you basically have winter operations every single day. We've had them this week in Germany at my home base as well, and To be honest, I'm rather happy I don't have to do that stuff like every single day. Hey, that's the de-icing pads over there. Luckily nothing we need today, but always good to know where they are. Okay, this is quite contaminated. Let's slow it down a bit more. You can see I'm really careful on my taxi here, because it is so easy to get drifting with an aircraft, and once you're drifting with it, it's very easy to break something as well. That becomes expensive too quickly. Okay, Whiskey Golf straight ahead. Departure frequency is going to be 118. It's 119.1 on VATSIM, slightly different frequencies than in real life. Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, ready for departure. On the way, runway 2 to right, Ryanair 47. Okay, Whiskey Golf straight ahead, confirm readback. On upper weight, 2 to right. For takeoff checklist below the line, MCP. Set. Transponder. TARA. Strobe lights. On, holding at landing lights. Okay, 2 to right is confirmed. Really snowy over here, so chances are that this is quite slippery.
Bound 121.8. Thank you for service. Great night. In your 9 take boat.
Okay, clear on the approach. That guy's still pretty far out over there. And clear on the left as well. Three knots might already be too fast with this amount of snow on the runway, but I don't want to go at 1 knot right now. Let's give it a try. Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, runway 2 to right, clear for takeoff, and just confirm we call radar immediately when airborne, not at 1,500. Roger, when airborne, bomber 901, Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray. Okay, so quite a change from the charter frequency there. Landing lights on, before takeoff checks complete, timing. Stabilized. We don't need to perform a static run-up, set takeoff first. Takeoff first set, indications normal. Checked.
V1. Rotate. Positive rate of climb.
You're up. Okay. Command A. Heading to radar, good evening. Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, passing 1,700, climbing 4,000 on the Taboo 3 November.
Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, radar contact, climb flight level 280.
Flight level 280, Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray. That 280 tracked.
Aeroflot 078 and left heading 180.
Vodka.
Wireless approach runway 15, report when established.
standards.
180 left, report fully established.
Passing 37, climbing 280.
Yankee Sierra Tango via L,
Flaps
clear
1.
for ILS approach runway 15, report when established.
E-check,
Yeah,
flaps
open
1.
clear direct approach runway 15 and we'll call Yankee Sierra Tango.
Flaps up. E-check, flaps up.
Confirm heading 180 for replot.
Okay, our airplane did not start the turn. Interesting, I could have sworn I did arm Elna, but well. Boeing Air Force on Victor X-ray, I had a small technical, we're making our departure turn right now.
Run Air Force on Victor X-ray, thank you.
Okay, let's go direct to 934 because otherwise it would just be flying an S-turn there. Yeah, I'm gonna execute it like this. Slightly different from the published procedure, but shouldn't be too much of an issue. Okay, flaps up, no lights. VNAV, we are already on standard. We can set that on the standby as well.
Passenger radar, good evening. Slipper
So, set full climb thrust.
With you at 100.
And after takeoff checklist. Engine anti-ice can go off, it's clear skies.
Emirates 1212 has radar, radar call.
So, air conditioning and pressurization, set 3.2, climbing and set. Altimeters, standard, passing 83, climbing level 280. After takeoff checklist complete, let's release the cabin crew. Okay, cabin crew's out.
078, are you established?
Established for ILS runway 15.
Airplot 078, contact over 118.6.
18.6.
Altimeters, passing 103, climbing 280, 10 checks. Fuel, balanced, 4 pumps on, lights. Off, APU off, air conditioning and pressurization, 4.4, climbing, and set, fasten belts. We can release them. Auto, recall, checked, and monitoring 1 to 1.5.
Uniform via Sultax and Elkum, cleared for ILS approach runway 15, report when established.
Gun checks complete. What do we have here? Unable 240 knots at VAKIP. Not a problem. Okay, we're flying, we're climbing. I gotta review the live stream in the aftermath to check if LNAV really didn't arm or if it disengaged after takeoff. I didn't quite catch that. I'm fairly sure I pressed the button, but might have been that it didn't arm. And that might have been the reason why we missed our initial departure turn. In any case, that is going to be something I will review later on, because obviously that is something that you do want to avoid happening. And Metal Eye, that acceleration on climb is so satisfying. Yeah, the 700's got quite a bit of power, and since they cleared us up above 150, we could go full climb thrust, and that aircraft definitely has power when you go full climb. Can you see anything outside? Not really, unfortunately. Quite a bright area over there. Looks like that's where the airport is. Not sure why that flight sim is giving me that snow texture there in place of the airport, but I guess that falls under the category of things that I just don't want to know. In any case, this looks quite nice outside here, doesn't it? Okay, approaching flight level 200. We check the pressurization once again. Cabin is now at 2,500 feet and climbing. We do have positive rate of climb shown on the cabin VSI as well. Auto is selected. Isolation valve is in a decent position, like 3/4 closed. Bleeds on, packs auto, isolation valve auto, reset fan auto. Decent temperature selected. Always a good idea to review all the cabin zones here. And 24, 25 degrees in the cabin is definitely going to be a good temperature here.
7 Victor X-ray, contact Helsinki control
121.3, runner 47 Victor X-ray, good evening. LZK control, good evening, runner 47 Victor X-ray, passing flight level 223, climbing flight level 280 in Montefu.
Runner 47 Victor X-ray has control below and passing flight level 380.
On flight level 380, running 47 Victor X-ray. That 380 tracked, and that is set once, twice, and 3 times. In the FMC, always compare it with the optimum as well to make sure that the cruise level is at or below the optimum. And we are monitoring 1 to 1.5, so selected up here and selected up here. Perfect. So, MG King, I rewatched. Elnav was not armed. Okay. I probably missed that one. I do seem to remember clicking the button, so I guess it didn't armor for some reason. It does happen on the real airplane as well, by the way, and if that happens on the real aircraft, you're just going to take off in heading select, and at 400 feet you are going to reselect LNAV. And Vlad and Metal, I know that was not due to the generator cut, since it is SOP in my airline to arm LNAV only when lining up on the runway, so a generator cut should not have any effect on that. It would normally be because the departure heading in the FMC does not match the runway heading within a certain amount of degrees, and that normally leads to the LNAV not arming. Typically, when that is known to happen, my airline does have that written in the airfield brief, and then we simply depart on heading select, and when passing 400 feet in the climb, you can then arm LNAV and make use of it. Of course, these are the kind of things that would be caught by a second pilot if we were flying in a multi-crew environment. And the fact that it can slip on a single pilot is exactly one of the reasons why those aircraft are required to be flown with two or more pilots. So that these kind of things just don't slip. Vincenzo, during cruise, can we turn on anti-ice if we are crossing clouds? That will depend on the temperatures. So, if we look into the temperatures, then there are 2 criteria for anti-ice to be used. One of them is that the TAT is plus 10 degrees or less, and the other is that the SAT, which you can find on the progress page 2, is minus 39 or warmer. In other words, from minus 40 onwards, you don't need anti-ice anymore. You can turn it on, as you said, but it's not going to do anything, because there will not be any ice that is going to stick to your aircraft. So, in cruise, in typical temperatures, it is not required to turn on engine anti-ice as you're flying through clouds. Of course, when you're flying at a lower flight level, then it might be required to turn the anti-ice on nonetheless. So, for example, if you were cruising at level 240 in typical Western Hemisphere, then anti-ice might very well be required during cruise. Right now, of course, we have a rather extreme example with minus 16 degrees on the ground. So, in any case, do have a look at the progress page 2, and that is normally
I'll get you thrown away in a minute.
where you get the static air temperature, and if that is minus 40 or less, then you don't need engine anti-icing cruise. So, passing level 300, another quick check on the reverse L technique up here. Same that we did at flight level 200 already. Temperatures still looking good. The real airplane is a little bit nasty on those temperatures, so you might set them somewhere and the plane just changes it around as the outside temperature changes, and the real airplane might not really necessarily give you good temperatures all the time, so those repeated checks on the temperatures are really something necessary in the Boeing 737. Lilo 25, any news about weather radar? No. To my knowledge, Asobo is trying to do something, but that might or might not be accurate. Then Rodon 9897, I've noticed that no matter when you put the start levers to idle during engine start, whether it's at 20% or 25%, the fuel flow won't start until about 27 or 28% N2. Is that realistic? I don't think so. Now, to be honest, I could never check in the real airplane because obviously I wouldn't intentionally turn on fuel at an incorrect point. But in the real airplane, it does take a few seconds after you flick the fuel levers on. So, you know, it is our SOP. When we put the fuel levers on, we look up here, we watch the valves operating, and from the moment those valves are closed, it takes about a second until the until the fuel flow actually comes on. So, it is indeed correct that there is a delay between putting the fuel switches on and some fuel flow coming, but I do believe when you put the fuel switches on, for example at 15%, that fuel is actually going to be introduced into the engines, and then leading to probably a wet start in that case. So if that is not working correctly in the PMDG, please do supply a support ticket, and the developers will hopefully be able to look at it then and fix it with a future update. And Ben, can't stand winter ups, had a connection Frankfurt Main earlier this week. De-icing plus late ground crew had us delayed over 1.5 hours. I'm not surprised. I'm absolutely not surprised. I've also been delayed all week long. Was supposed to do like 6 sectors this week. It turned out 2 got cancelled due to weather, and the others, all of them, significantly delayed. Then, Union Yup, Captain, is a pilot allowed to hand fly the entire flight with raw data, such as a full flight from takeoff to landing? Let's split that into 2 parts. First of all, is a pilot allowed to fly a full flight manually? The answer is yes, provided the flight does not enter RVSM airspace. In my airline, there is a restriction in the operations manual part A that does not allow hand flying the aircraft above flight level 245. So if the flight is planned below that, then yes, it is allowed to do a complete flight manually. And I personally had a few flights that were planned below flight level 245, mostly at level 240, and I did actually hand fly them for the entire flight. So I've done that already, and it is allowed. Now, is a pilot allowed to do that raw data? In my airline, no. We are not allowed to fly raw data at all, provided that flight director guidance is available. So there are a couple approaches I've actually flown one this week where there is an offset approach, and then of course once we are disconnecting to manually align the airplane with the runway, we need to recycle the flight directors. But for as long as flight director is available, which it is for 99.9% of all cases, we do not, or we are not allowed to fly raw data. But let's say you had another airline that did not have that restriction and that does allow flying raw data, then it would be perfectly fine for a pilot to fly an entire raw data flight as long as the airplane does not enter RVSM airspace. Because it is a requirement legally to enter RVSM airspace that you are operating on the autopilot. And Vlad, could you please make a localizer approach into Rovaniemi? Let me check the weather. If the weather is good enough, we can do that. So, let's have a look actually. Rovaniemi weather. We have 2 to 0 degrees at 7, 10 kilometers in light snow showers, no significant clouds, minus 15 degrees, QNH 992. Okay, yeah, we can do a localizer approach with that. Provided the weather doesn't deteriorate, I am going to do it. And JTFF mod, did you switch to DLSS? Yes, I did. You can see it, can you? And Delphi needs 20 euros donation. Thank you very, very much. Greetings from Echo Fox Juliet Yankee, and thanks for visiting our skies. Consider flying the same route on a summer night for some nice views. That's a good idea, actually. I'll think about a very nice route in summer. Now, it would be very, very nice if Microsoft actually simulated some of those noctilucent clouds that you get to see in these regions. But I guess that's for a different moment. But I am going to, actually, you know what? I might as well just try to get you some of those pictures right now as we're flying along, as we do have a little bit of time available. And by one, I am searching something. I have far too many pictures on my phone, but here we are. That was about good. Stand by one. So, a very rare cloud type that is unfortunately not very well known in the flight simulation community at all. In fact, it looks like a lot of real pilots don't really know what they are either. But a colleague who flew long haul for a very long time told me about the phenomenon, and it really is something that I do want to show you guys, because it is such an absolutely amazing and beautiful experience when you actually get to see them in real life. So, does anybody of you know what noctilucent clouds are? Answer is probably going to be no. So, let me just go ahead and show you. Oh, this is what they look like. Let me try to get that. Here we are, this is what they look like. Noctilucent clouds, and they are clouds that you only see in the very northern hemisphere, so when you're nearing 60 north, and it's a phenomenon where the sun has already set below the horizon, and the sun is then reflecting from some clouds that are very high in the atmosphere. We're talking about around 80 to 120 kilometers over here. And you can only see them for a very short while, and this picture is taken at flight level 370, and you can see how those clouds are just immensely higher. And indeed, you only see them mostly in early summer, or late spring, early summer, roundabout. Okay, so back to Back to our approach then. The request was for a localizer approach, so why not just go for it? So that's going to be the localizer Zulu approach then. And of course our 737 is simply going to show us the glide slope as well, so what I will do is let me quickly go into the FMC's failure settings and see if we can fail the glide slope receiver. That is what they often do in the real-life full-flight simulators, so that you can't cheat. Let's see, should probably be on navigation. No, I can only fail the entire ILS, but we don't want to do that. Okay, well, in that case, let's just go over here, and can we select the localizer approach separately? No, okay. The real-life 737 has a feature, if you select the localizer approach from the approaches, then it is automatically going to hide the glide slope from your view. It looks like that is not going to be the case, so we'll just fly it with the ILS Zulu programmed, and we are going to be flying the localizer approach anyway. It will mean that we are going to see the glide slope on the screen, but we are actually not going to be using any of the data of glide slope. 150 miles to go, so we can already start with some of our approach preparations over here, especially when we do a non-precision approach, things do take a little bit longer. So let's go ahead and start loading a little bit of stuff in. Track required after VECIP, that's copied. Let's see if there is let's see if there is any HOTAS online for our destination airport. So we have Helsinki, ESNN, ESSB. But doesn't look like there is something for our destination. So let's just go .HOTAS Avro HOTAS. Do we have one there? No, it doesn't look like the controller made an HOTAS for our destination. We'll just have to request the weather manually then. Now, things do get important here on the forecast page. Our arrival weather is showing us no significant clouds, as we can see over here, but we do have light snow showers, so chances are there is some light precip. So let's just enter anti-ice from 5,000 feet. QNH 992, we can put that in. And we have an ISA deviation, well, minus 30 degrees. The limit, however, is minus 15 in the 737, so let's put minus 15 in. And yes, I do know the PMDG does accept lower values, that is currently a bug. So, landing runway is gonna be 21. Yes, we're gonna grab the uplink in a few moments. So we have a 114-mile ring, we take a 10-mile ring. And with those snow showers, visibility can really reduce very easily in snow. So let's take a 5-mile ring over here. And load the wind data in. Thank you very much. So next thing for us to check then is going to be the altitude. So we can see the MSA is 2,400 feet up on that approach chart. So let's have a look into the cold temperature correction table once more. And the airport is at 600 feet, so we're looking at about 1,800 at minus 15 degrees, so 240 feet on top makes it an MSA of 2,640, so rounded up 2,700. That means we need to apply cold temperature correction to any altitude that is below 2,700 feet. So that means VECA, pretty much everyone except phonetics. So, VECIP 2,500, that is 1,900 above the field elevation. So if we use roughly the 2,000 values here for minus 15 degrees, 240 feet on top, so plus 2,740. And another plus 2740. 2,400 feet up here, 1,800, so let's use a little bit less. Let's make that a plus 220, so 2,620 above, and then 2,620 at our final approach fix as well. Missed approach. We cannot change the altitude waypoints like this, so all we can do is to change the restriction at Ropov, which 2,500 we said earlier on is going to become 2,740. So in case I missed approach, we'll climb 2,800 feet then, and that is all that we can adjust up here. So that's the cold temperature corrections for the FMS. The other one we need to do is for the minimums. So flying the localizer approach, we have the DME available, so 930 feet, that's 320 feet above the field elevation. So looking at the table, minus 15 degrees, 320 feet, that is about 40 feet that we need extra over there. So let's add 40 feet to the minima, and that makes it 970. Plus we add another 40 because it is not an Almavina minima, so 1010 is going to be our new minima for this approach. So let's go ahead and tune that, 1010.
796 Mike Alpha, Mach 0.7, request Mach number please.
0.7905.
Okay, so 1010 does become our new Mach number for the approach. Sorry, Mach number. ATC is talking about Mach numbers and immediately I say Mach number. Okay, so 992 the minima, and that is going to be pretty much everything that we need for the setup for now. So let's go ahead with the approach briefing. Threats for the arrival is, yeah, it's cold. We will once again have a snowy airport, so airplane controllability once again probably going to be a slow taxi on the way in. Looking at the runway itself, we're landing on 21. We'll vacate to the left side most likely via Hotel or via Bravo, and we go right to the parking spot up there. Let's quickly grab our parking shot as well while we have it. So that's pretty much our parking's up there. We are going to park right in front of the terminal so that our passengers don't need to walk for too long at those temperatures. Okay, then let's go ahead and check our FMC. We have 250 below flight level 100. The forecast page is filled out. Fixed rings runway 21, 10 and 5 miles. And for the arrival, it is Napix to Charlie arrival. We have that in here as well, Napix to Charlie. Going to lead us from Napix above flight level 100 on a 005 track, 22.8 miles towards Mipco, then a right turn into the downwind 025, 10 miles to Eknom. Same track, 11.5 miles to Vekip. Vekip is maximum 240 knots, so let's actually change this into 240 knots or less. And then from there we are going to join the localizer Zulu approach, runway 21, chart 11-1, effective 20th of January, frequency 111.7. I think I totally forgot to set those. Let's do it now. So 111.7, course is 205, we can set those as well already. Here we go, 205 and 205. Down to the minima, 1100 we set, elevation 610. Let's make that 600. MSA corrected, 2700 rounded up. So, arrival from Vekip above 2500 and maximum 240 knots, that is corrected in here. 115 degrees, 5 miles towards Nipak, again above 2500, which we have in here corrected as well. Thereafter it's going to be 206 degrees, 4.4 miles to Inzar, and we have our 10 mile point in here, and then we have Inzar. Inzar 2400 feet, corrected 2620, 3 degree glide path down to the minimum of 1100. In case I missed approach, climb straight out to Ropov to 2500 feet. So we climb on the runway track towards Ropov, And 2,500 is below the corrected MSA, so we have corrected that. 2,740, so 2,800 is going to be our missed approach altitude. GNSS and DME are required. We do have both available. Okay, 3.4 tons on the arrival versus the diversion to Kittilä of 2 tons. So that means we have 1.4 tons extra. That is a good 45 minutes at least. Burning 700 kilos, which is a landing weight of 55.1. And then let's go ahead and do our performance as well. We don't need the charts anymore, but we do need the performance calculator, landing en route, and we are going towards Rovaniemi. Runway is going to be 2.1, 2.5. Let's take it medium to good, because I don't know how well that runway is. I don't know how well that runway is cleared. So 230 at 6, temperature -15, and QNH 992. Let's calculate flaps 30 initially, and we'll probably have both engine and wing anti-ice operating. And let's initially calculate no reverse credit and see what we're going to get. We set our landing weight as 55.1. Let's calculate that. Okay, and even in idle reverse we would be well able to stop the airplane, so let's do that. 2,090 meters is what we need to vacate the runway, and that brings us perfectly into our exit. Okay, so flaps 30, auto brake 3, and that's that part. Okay. Runway itself, 3,000 meters long, and we have that on the chart up here. And we are going to land up here on 2-1. Vacate, well, Bravo, roughly 2,000 meters down the runway, so pretty much exactly what we need. And then, coming up from Bravo, we go straight ahead to the apron, so probably gate 8 or gate 9, maybe gate 7. And that's pretty much it. Do you have any questions? Okay, so, then let's talk about the double brief, since we are doing non-precision approach. Approaching the final, actually on base leg, I want to have flaps 5 out, and the approach is going to be a localizer approach, so we'll fly it using Warthog and VNAV. We are going to use a standard configuration for an IMC approach, so configure at 5 miles, flap 30 landing. In case we do see the runway, we should have good guidance available as far as I remember. Yep, we do have a runway waypoint in here, so we should have good flight director guidance available all the way to the landing. In case we don't see the runway, we're going to go around. Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, cleared Mapix to Delta arrival when ready, descend flight level 100. Okay, looks like we might have to change something in the briefing there. That 100 checked. Okay, Nepix to Delta arrival. Let's enter that. Zulu. You don't have a 2 Delta. Let's have a quick look into the charts once again. So, arrivals. Nepix 2 Delta. That is for runway 03, it seems.
Niner, Tango, whiskey, have control,
what's the wind again? 220 at 7. That would be 7 knots of tailwind. Okay, let's do a little bit mathematics and see if we can accept that runway in these conditions or not. So let's say runway 03, 2.5, medium to good, 230 at 6, flaps 30, calculate that.
Helsinki control. very good.
Okay, we could do that with a tailwind.
Flight level 232.250 inbound recon.
Okay, in that case, it's probably going to be quite a bit faster to not fly around the block. So let's follow ATC's suggestion, and in that case, since we did want to do a non-precision approach, we have the choice between Arnav and VOR. So let's go ahead. We'll do the Arnav approach runway 03 then, and that is Nepix to Delta, which leads us towards Ropov. So, time to redo pretty much everything of the approach briefing.
Control, Amber 167, requesting descent.
But this might be easier than to fly all the way around to the other side, so that's why I'm accepting it.
Oh yeah, there you go. Amber 167, descent flight level 100.
Flight level 100, Amber 167.
Patron 117, ready.
Okay, so that's pretty much everything reselected. Let's do this thing quickly now. I'm gonna deselect the frequencies, then course is 025.
Flight level 100.
Auto control, Finnair 44, Alpha Pass, flight level 118,
Okay, course is 025. MSA remains anything needs to be correct that is below 2,700 feet. So let's quickly get that table out once more. And Vlad may be circling. Don't think so. We're gonna use the we're gonna do the Arnav approach on this one, and then we'll do the localizer approach when we get back to Helsinki. Is that fine with you?
Reaching out for the descent. Amber 81, descent.
Okay, so cold temperature corrections. Looking at 2,500 feet. We can take like 240 on top, so 2740. Come on. 2740. 2740.
Amber 284, cleared.
And Unuka on 1,800 feet above that, so
When ready, descent flight level 100.
what do we have there? Again, 240 feet on top. Yeah, let's use that. It's the easier mathematics. So 2640 feet then for Unuka.
Okay, you are clear
Okay,
for the Lucky 7 Mike arrival.
missed approach 2740, and that is everything we needed to correct. Then of course our minimums. Let's see what we have there now. And we are starting our descent. Okay, so minimums, El Navinas, category Charlie, 280 feet. And that means that is cold temperature correction, 280 feet. Let's take the 300 value. There's 40 feet on top, so 951 is going to become our new minimums.
118.4 for Finnair 231.
Did I just? Oopsie. Okay. Oh, new minimums 951. Okay, then let's redo the approach brief real quick, and I'm gonna do a slightly abbreviated form right now. Landing runway, of course, 03 now. Let's take the 10-mile ring and 5-mile ring. And that's all we'll need on this. Okay, so, threats for the arrival, well, still unchanged. QNH blunder error is still a bit of a thing. We have QNH of 992 forecast, and we'll closely cross-check that with whatever we get from ATC. Okay, airplane, you're becoming too fast for my taste. Get that speed brake out for a bit. Okay, better. So, for the arrival now,
15, disregard.
I have the honor of approach runway 03 starting at Ropov. That's going to be Ropov towards Unuka, and that is on a 025 degree track, and looking at this, it's 4.6 miles. Unuka final approach fix 2400, corrected 2640, 3 degree glide path down to the minimum of, we set 911, corrected with 40 feet on top, which makes 951. And in case I missed approach, proceed by Romeo Oscar 364 to Beckett, and with 364 then Beckett 2740 feet, which is the 2500 corrected up here. And that's pretty much all we need. The rest is unchanged. We're gonna vacate the runway now, most likely at Charlie, I suppose, or maybe at Delta, depending on how good or not we can stop the airplane. And then we'll still taxi to the terminal up here, stand 7, 8, or 9. Any questions on the revised briefing? Probably not. Then let's do the double brief. And for the double brief, we're going to use El Nafina for this approach with El Nafina for the approach. We do have an RMP of, let's see, 0.3 is in, perfect. And standard configuration, flaps 5 by the time we join final. At 5 miles we're going to configure. We do have a runway point in here, so flight director should be usable, landing gate 500 feet. Actions in case of missed approach are the same, actions in case we continue are the same. And that should pretty much be it. So just stand by a second, trying to find the double brief checklist that we normally have to read.
So you have it for...
Okay, so double brief checklist. Independently verified preset QNH minimums, checked and set. Cold temperature correction, temperature limit APV, checked and set. Configuration sequence reviewed. AFDS and auto throttles, notes on selections, reviewed. Actions when visual, reviewed. Actions at MDA DA if not visual, reviewed. Landing gate, reviewed. Additionally, for RNAV approach, crew qualified, checked. Aircraft qualified, dual FMC, check tech log notice to crew, reviewed. Approach qualified, so it is an RNAV approach. Confirm FMC glide path angle agrees with the approach plate within 0.1, reviewed. Selector verify approach RMP 0.3, we've just done that, reviewed. Review RNAV approach contingencies. Okay, so in case we lose our RNAV capability, we will fly initially the missed approach going straight ahead, climbing to an altitude of 3,000 feet. That keeps us safe above the MSA. And then we're going to request radar vectors from air traffic control for a VOR approach, or we might just about do the ILS approach to the opposite runway as well. So, reviewed. RNAV approach limitations. Altimeter difference, 100 feet maximum at or before the final approach fix, reviewed. On final approach, vertical deviation plus minus 75 feet, reviewed. And the final approach cross-track error of 0.15 nautical miles and approach RMP 0.3 miles must not be exceeded, also reviewed. A go-around on missed approach is required if any FMC message relating to the navigation shows, unless suitable visual reference is established and can be maintained prior to the final approach fix, thereafter if the ANP exceeds the RMP. And that is our double brief checklist complete. You guys see, it is a lot of stuff that we have to do for such an approach. Then let's go ahead and do the normal descent checklist. Pressurization, land out 600, anti-ice, off, approach brief and fuel, discussed, IS and altitude box, checked and set. Descent checklist complete. Okay, we've made it, finally. It's only taken like half an hour. But that is the reality of operating in conditions like these, so that's what we just about have to live with.
Are you able to depart from intersection stop? 7 kilo Lima via Bravo, line up runway 22. Finnair 1 Alpha Bravo.
So, the way back is going to be a little bit more interesting because due to the delay that we are currently building up, we will be using a cost index 100 flight plan on the way back.
1028, inbound pending. Finnair 5 Alpha Delta contact, climb the flight level 300.
So on the way back we will actually be flying high speed in order to make it to our destination while the event still goes on. So, things at least will surely not become boring.
Number 167, contact radar 119.1.
119.1 for Amber 167. Thanks, sir.
And Metal Eye, GSX refuel is ready. Well. Johnsy, what is the fastest ground speed I've seen in a 737? Well, my personal record is 650 knots.
Number 105 has control.
But we really had like 180 knots tailwind on that one. And then of course we could resist going all the way up to Mach 0.8 just to get that little ground speed record there. Then Bootwin, about recycling flight directors on approach. When and why do we do that? Okay, the when or the when part of your question depends on the depends a little bit on the taste of the pilots. So personally I would always recycle them under the minimums. But, you know, in some cases you can do it a little bit earlier, but that leads us to the why we recycle the flight directors, and that is because we need to, well, let me explain that differently. Why do we recycle the flight directors? So, on a non-precision approach, if we do not have a runway waypoint like this, so if that Romeo Whiskey, whatever, would not be in our flight plan, then we would not get correct guidance from the flight directors vertically on the final approach. So the flight directors would guide us in incorrectly. And since we don't want any incorrect information shown on our displays, we would recycle the flight directors, so we would put them off and back on. And thereby we would get, we would remove them from the views, but they would still be available in case of a go-around. So the entire idea behind recycling flight directors is to remove them when they don't show you any usable information, but to have them available again in case of a go-around. So let me just show that for a second. I'm disconnecting our autopilot now, putting the flight directors off, and now I'm putting them back on again. So this is the typical recycling. Now they are armed, but they don't show. And the reason we do this is because in case of a go-around, we would get the flight directors showing again, and they would remain engaged. In the 737 normally, the flight directors would disappear after a go-around when they are switched off. So when you press toga, they will always come into view. However, as soon as you would intercept the target altitude, so as soon as they would change from toga into altitude acquire, the flight directors would simply disappear if the switches on the MCP are still off. So that is the reason why we recycle them instead of simply just turning them off. And Daniel, is it better to use baro or radio for the minimums? You only use radio when you are conducting an autoland, so only on an ILS Cut 2 or Cut 3 approach. If you don't do an ILS Cut 2 or Cut 3, then you are always going to use the baro minimums.
Escort runway Finnair quarters, West Patron 180 to 280.
Finnair 4 Kilo Juliet, hello, head to Patron, head aboard, taxi time, flight level 300.
By the way, you may or may not have just noticed, I did switch on the seatbelt sign when we passed level 150, as that pretty much marked the 15 minutes to landing.
Red Nortrans 141, hello, head control, and Midnight 15 Zulu, turn right 070.
Right 070, midnight 15.
Number 81, speed 29, correction 270 knots or greater, and contact radar 119.1.
Inner 536, request set.
Inner 5. Inner, stay position. Inner 536, stay position. Inner 536, and 5 level 100.
Descent 5 level 100, inner 536.
Metal Eye. I've had this conversation a few weeks ago with a pilot, and he said Barrow would be used for Cat 3 approach. I corrected him and he disagreed. Yeah, that's welcome to Flight Simulator. Sometimes people just want to know better. Okay, want to go? Vertical speed. I'm selecting speed down a little bit so that we still lose our total energy here. Let's do the 10 checks already. Fuel is balanced with 4 pumps on. Lights on, angle of bank 25, air conditioning and pressurization 3.6 descending and set. Fasten belts on. Recall checked 1 to 1.5. Deselected, 10 checks complete. Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, request further descent.
Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, descent 5,000 feet, QNH 992.
Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, descent 5,000 feet, QNH 992. Okay, set. 5,000 check. Enough. Set altimeter 992. We're passing 9,200, descending 5,000. No flex. Standby altimeter.
Lacom 7 Mike, arrival 1-way 15, descent 11,000 if we are ready and left
Set.
190.
10 checks complete.
1 Alpha Bravo, contact Sweden 118.6. Correction, no, contact Sweden 118.4.
Okay, so last time we approached Rovaniemi, we've had a really nice view from the outside. Let's see if we can... No, today, pretty dark. Is there any moon up at all? Last time we've had a very bright moon, but doesn't look like it today. So today it's as black outside as it is from the inside. That's unfortunate, but we've already had a nice view at Rovaniemi on our last stream, so we just have to live with it.
Number 284, contact Calgary radar 119.1.
Contact on the landed to 100%.
536, clear to Lucent 3, Mike arrival, runway 15.
Clear to Lucent 3, Mike, runway 15.
Goodwin, about the temperature correction table, when do you use these corrections generally? Or when the temperature is, or when the temperature at the destination is 0 degrees centigrade or less?
Contact arrival 119.1.
And Vlad, could we fix this to the approach segment from the chart if we don't have it when we selected the arrival in the CDU? Well, you could, but then you very carefully need to cross-check the distances and the tracks against your chart. So be very careful with that. Okay, want to go? Vertical speed.
And Northtrans 141, expect a few minutes, HOTAS sector will be online in a few minutes.
confirm for 141.
Yes, 141.
And my headset just decided to die.
Ei vähän kuulostaa, ihan hyvä.
Police 265. Resume my navigation, proceed direct to DBAM.
Resume your navigation direct to DVAM, quality 265.
Call control, targeting full course of next. Depart at the 390. Scandinavian 4487. Stand by. Scandinavian 4478, contact health control on 124.2. 124.2, Scandinavian 4478.
So, what is he doing with us?
Helsinki Control, Villa Finnair 272, flight level 3.
Looks like we'll have to enter the holding. He's forgot us, and we're much too high now for the approach.
Finnair 27 Juliet, Helsinki Control. Hello, stand by.
Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, we're joining the holding overhead drop-off.
Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, confirm you are in the drop-off holding.
Affirm, we did not have our approach clearance, so we are joining the holding.
Okay, I think I cleared you for the Netix to Charlie. Okay, turn left heading 360 and expect vector for the Alpha approach, runway 21.
Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, you cleared us for the Delta arrival, so we assumed the RNAV approach 03. So, heading 360, and we are requesting the localizer only approach. What on earth? Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, did you copy?
Hey, firm, I did. Contact heavy control on 124.2.
124.2, Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray.
Canadian 3, Charlie Papa there, right heading 090.
Oh, how lovely this
Right,
is.
090, keep short.
Helsinki Control, Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, heading 360, maintaining 5,000 feet. Come on, would you talk to me, please? If he had an ATIS up, that problem would not have happened. Helsinki Control, Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, heading 360, altitude 5,000.
Clear Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray. Helsinki Control, red.
Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, did the previous controller forward the request for the localizer only approach? Yeah, let's try to set that up once again.
No, taking control, good evening, Turkish 6.
He's not talking to us? What is this? What is wrong with these controllers? So, 2740, 2740, and 2640, another 2640. This approach is gonna be 2740 again. You know that air traffic control is doing a bad job when you already know all the temperature corrections for an entire approach by heart, because you're changing between the different approaches so many times. What else can we do? flaps, gonna be 30 on this one, and then we need course is 205. And 205. Frequencies, once again, 111.7 on both sides, and that should mostly be it. Then let's do a quick review of the approach briefing and what we are going to do this time then. So, quick review of the approach briefing. So, frequency 111.7 on both sides, final approach tracks 205, and the minimum, oh yeah, should have said that earlier, we said that is going to be 1010.
So, good evening, 36 Hotel Victor, flight level 168 for 100. Signal 2512, Helsinki.
Okay, missed approach straight at to rope off, climbing 2500, which we have. Okay. So, for this one we are going to use Warthog mode and VNAV, stable gate 500, we are going to configure for a standard 5 mile approach, flaps 5 on the downwind, and that's pretty much all we need. Any questions? No? Okay. Then let's do a frisk check. We have frequencies 110.7, rings runway to 110.5, items. Let's see what we have there. Romeo Oscar, and we have Romeo Oscar and Romeo Oscar. Standby instruments set on the course is 205. Okay. And of course, finally, minimum, we said we take 930. It doesn't say on VNAV, so we are going to use 40 feet correction for that, plus 40 feet cold temperature correction, so 1010. Felipe, why just the localizer only approach? Because Blood actually requested it from our viewers. So it's a request that I just got live on the stream. And Suko Logo, 30 on the frequency. ADC messed up quite a bit for me. For what it's worth, the controller is having his C3 exam and Helsinki seems super busy. Well, I feel sorry to hear that for the controller, because at least what he did with us is certainly not worth of a C3 rating. So C3 rating on VATSIM is like, how do we call that best? The C3 is a rating for, you know, I'm the greatest, to put it like that. So C1 is all that you need in order to be allowed to be a center controller in VATSIM, and C3 then basically just is a glamour rating that shows everybody like, hey, you're a very good controller.
Yep, we're checking in via flight level 112 for 100.
So, where are we flying now? And why are we going there? Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, how many track miles can we expect? Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, how many track miles can we expect? Helsinki radar, Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, radio check on 124.2.
This is another aircraft at flight level 100, I can give you 555.
Thanks.
HEL control, good evening, Finnair 548 Rovaniemi information Alpha request given to Helsinki. Tarkistan 6 Hotel, Victor, Hotel present heading, Signal Park.
Okay, this is totally messed up now. These guys are these guys are totally off track now. Helsinki, Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, radio check. Helsinki radar, Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, transmitting blind. We are turning towards final for runway 21 at Rovaniemi Airport, Helsinki traffic.
Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, turn right heading 13.
Right heading 130, Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, and how do you read?
Red you now 5. Start again, and red now 2512, turn right heading 04.
Ah, so this is like in Morocco. In Morocco, they don't answer you as well. Then you tell them that then you are doing a blind transmission, and all of a sudden, they are acting on you again. But this is really bad right now. This is quite unbelievable.
Right choice, please. Continue with the whole.
And we should have been at the gate for a long time. Like this, we'll be at the gate maybe at 40 or so. We'll never be able to get back to Helsinki in time for the event.
2548, stand by, I'm fixing voice problems, so I'll call you a couple of minutes. That's standing by.
Morocco Pro, Pendular 44 Alpha, flat low 340.
So, let's see if he's gonna forget about us once more.
Terve Pendular 44 Alpha, Helsinki radar call. Per 7 kilo Lima Helsinki radar contact. Descent flight level 100, runway 21. Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, turn right heading 180, descent 3,500 feet.
Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, routing 180, descent 3,500 feet.
Red North 251.
And vertical speed, 500 feet a minute. And there actually is another aircraft over there.
Hello, Flare 147, Helsinki radar contact.
So where is this guy going? Probably also on the downwind track right now.
Locked, one and time.
Okay, so let's put an extended center line in here.
Red North 2512, until right heading 130, feet out of the wrong course. 1 2 report is at the local. Right heading 130, get out. Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, lead out of the wrong 1 report is at the local.
Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, I guess that means the previous controller has not forwarded our request for the localizer approach, so request the localizer only approach runway 21.
Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, cleared for localizer approach runway 21, report established on localizer.
Get localizer approach runway 21, Vilco Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray. Hey, Vola count.
Victor, descent 4,500 feet.
4,500 feet, 56 for Victor.
Enough. Localizer alive. So we're cleared for the approach, that means we can descend 2,800 feet.
1 Echo Zulu contact. basic control 121 degree.
And you may actually start your descent, dear aircraft. Come on. Vertical speed. VNAV. Flaps 1.
Kittilä San Quantari, Bravo QNH, Niner, clearance on tarve. Northwest 131.
Didn't event. Why is that thing not descending? Unbelievable. Okay, flaps 5.
Headers 251 to wind 2, 036 on runway 1, 2 clear land.
Okay, let's see. I don't understand why VNAV is not descending, but the path is coming. Let's see if it at least captures that.
Report to Lima, turn right heading 29, 0 descent 2300 feet, unit 998. Right heading 290 descent.
So let's see, here comes the VNAV, and at least it's pitching down. Wow, so at least something works. Brown Air 47 Victor X-ray established. Approaching descent.
Brown Air 47 Victor X-ray, wind 237 on runway 21 clear to land.
Runway 21 clear to land, Brown Air 47 Victor X-ray. 1,100 feet set.
Right heading 180.
Enough path, speed and event. So we shot cross inside 2,640 feet.
Alpha Cat 2 for today's clock 1757.
Path 2620, no flags. I'll check, no flags. Okay, we see the runway without any problems. Let's configure at 4 miles.
Taxi Charlie 211 ready 3147 cleared Nepex to Charlie Bravo. 211 ready to land level 1.
There's a poppy inside over there, so we don't need to do any distance altitude checks. Get down, flap 15.
Report to Lima, descent 2300 feet.
Put the engine NTIs on, since the runway is probably going to be contaminated again. And flaps 30. Advere +5. Landing checklist. Start switches, continuous, recall, checked, speed brake, arm green light, landing gear down 3 green, auto brake preset, flaps. On. 30, 30 green light, and just holding at the lights. Okay, set Mr. Approach altitude 2,800 feet. Brown Air 47 Victor X-ray, sorry we might have missed it. Could you confirm our landing clearance? Nope, seems you can't. 500, continue. Brown Air 47 Victor X-ray, sorry might have missed it. Can you confirm we're clear to land? Checked.
Brown Air 47 Victor X-ray 8, we are clear to land.
Very much, 47 Victor X-ray, clear to land. Continue. Okay, so, landing lights on. Poppy is showing 3 whites, correcting that. Back on the poppies.
50, 40, 40, 30. Create for the eyes approach. Great. As to runway 21 and via intermission.
Come on. Hey, speed break up. Thrust is normal. Idle reverse.
Finnair 548, stay expected delay for us.
80 knots.
Not so many standby.
60 knots, manual brakes. And stopping is assured.
Runway 12 gate. Renault 251 to next to apron, kiitos. Next to apron, kiitos.
It looks like everything is covered in snow here. So we'll just keep it going slow. Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, runway vacated.
Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray, welcome to Rovaniemi taxi to stand 8.
Taxi stand 8, Ryanair 47 Victor X-ray. Okay, so we're gonna take it to the right over here.
37 kilo Lima.
Look at how deep this snow is. We can't even see the taxiway lights. That's really incredible. It was definitely a good idea to turn that engine ATS on. Okay, don't want to go any faster? Well, let's clean that airplane up. Definitely going to keep the anti-ice and the propede on. Okay, so
Open up 548, clearance available.
Finnair 548, ready to copy.
so let's get our GSX, gate number 8, and we don't need to follow me. Handling by service air is okay.
Yet via NV3 Alpha runway 21, squawk 6313, Ryanair, Finnair 548.
3548, also climb flight level 370.
Affirm Sampler W370, NV3 Alpha 6313.
3548, correct, thank you.
Thank you, radar. Very good evening.
Start APU.
Flight Charlie Mike is 320 at Kitchilla, Sun 9, requesting Rovaniemi.
Okay, and that is our gate up here. Hardly able to see anything. I'm gonna keep a little bit of the taxi light on here, because otherwise we just can't see that taxiway line.
Alpha Cat 24, confirm flight level 39.
Okay.
Alpha Cat 24, climb flight level 39.
Oh, look at that Christmas decoration they have in there. That's a nice feature.
27 kilo Lima, this is 2,500 feet.
That's a nice feature over in the terminal
Finnair
there.
548, request Pushback.
Okay, try not to scratch our airplane over here. And
Start a Pushback to runway 21. Finnair 548.
here we are.
So 141.
Okay, park and brake set. APU
No trans 141.
on the bus.
No trans 141, clear to Helsinki via runway 1.
And 2 blue, 1 red.
Flight level 390, squawk 4732.
So we're gonna keep the propede on during the turnaround.
162, 1 Charlie departure. Flight level 390, squawk 4732, no trans 141. No trans 141, clearance correct, thank you. And not 141, request start. No trans 141, start up approach.
And we have both engines below 20. Shutdown checklist.
7 kilo Lima, turn
Let's do the transit initially. Electrical is on APU, fast mode's off, probe heat on, NTI is off, air conditioning... Sorry, voice recorder on, air compacts on, engine bleeds on, APU bleed off, exterior lights set, start switches off, auto brakes off, speed brake down to 10, flaps up and light, parking brake set, start levers cut off, weather radar off, transponder 2000 standby, CBRCB in, cockpit door unlocked, shutdown checklist complete. So let's see if we can get GSX to connect this jetway for us. Yes, they can. Okay, so then, let's answer a couple of the questions. Mapek, why did you set 2,800 feet on the MCP while the missed approach altitude is 2,500 for the ILS-21? Is this like special procedure to add something to the missed approach or just a mistake? Just curious. Okay, it actually is neither. We have a missed approach altitude of 2,500, that is correct. But we also have a temperature of minus 15 degrees. So we had to add something because of the altimeter error. And I'll just bring the table up for you once more. So the missed approach altitude is roughly 2,000 feet above the ground level. And if, as you can see over here, if you look at the 2,000 feet height, and in between minus 10 and minus 20 degrees, that means you have to add 240 feet to your missed approach altitude. Therefore, it is necessary for the missed approach altitude to be corrected to 2,740 feet, and I have corrected that further to 2,800 as we can't set 2,740 on the MCP. That's why I have used 2,800. Of course, if we went around, we would have to tell our traffic control. In real life, they would know about these corrections, but in VATSIM, they typically don't know about temperature corrections. Okay. So we only have an hour and 25 to return to Helsinki. And if I'm totally honest with you guys, we just aren't gonna make it in time for the event. So that means we could either fly back without any ATC at all, or I do something that I promised you guys I would do for a very long time. And that is stop the live stream over here and therefore finish the second part of my winter operations tutorial. And I do believe the latter is probably the better option here. So I'm gonna keep it at this for today's live stream, and instead I will start working on my second winter operations tutorial for now. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. I really hope that you have enjoyed it, and Vlad, my pleasure doing the localizer approach. So thank you very much, everyone. As always, like, comment and subscribe, and if you do want to support the channel, you can do so through the Buy Me a Coffee link that you can find in the video description below. For now, thank you very much for joining, and I'm looking forward to see you later today or very latest tomorrow morning with the second winter operations tutorial online. So thank you very much for flying with me,